We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Jonathan. Jonathan was reading the Audioholics review of the Paradigm Persona Series towers, and it got him thinking about driver materials. Again. I added the again. He knows our standard opinion is that any material can make a good speaker if designed by a good speaker designer, and claims like all metal tweeters sound metallic are false. This is true. But are there some driver materials like, say, beryllium that always outperform paper, Kevlar, gold, plate, etc., simply due to its particular characteristics, and that all designers would use if not limited by cost, comfort level, etc.? I will say that there are superior materials that could be used in a driver that will, in theory, outperform similarly designed drivers with different materials. Beryllium perhaps being one of those.
Well, yeah, like there's materials that possess properties that other materials don't. So like beryllium can be thinner and lighter while being just as stiff as, say, titanium or aluminum, right? There's no way that you could make an aluminum or a titanium driver that is as light, as thin, and as stiff as a beryllium material. So beryllium has just that characteristic advantage that no other material can match. It's just a property of the material itself. So there is that factor. There are some materials that possess properties that other materials don't.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of different, like, as we unpack this question, if not limited by cost and all this other stuff, yeah, sure, they'd all get like the highest end scan speak tweeter and put it in all their speakers and it'd be fine. But that being said, when I talked to Shane Rich over at RBH at one point about a specific, it was those Granite speakers.
Mm-hmm.
They remember the Granite speakers were based on the Decimo. These are RBH. They are very large bookshelf speakers, and there was the Decimo speaker, and then there was like a Granite version. It was like made out of.
Yeah, from their Status Acoustic series.
And it's really great. It's a really great. But he said we actually took a slightly, I don't want to say lower quality, but lower down the line scan speak tweeter for this speaker versus the Decimos, because with this speaker design, with this material, with this enclosure, this one sounded better. So the other tweeter may have, and probably did, measure better than the tweeter they used in the speaker, but they chose this tweeter because in this application it was the best. And I think that speaks volumes right there. So yes, technically he could have put a beryllium tweeter in that thing. That thing's cost like, I don't know, $5,000 a piece.
Yeah, they could have used whatever. It was cost no object.
They could have used whatever they wanted. There was no. These are Status Acoustic speakers. They make $50,000 speakers. They can put anything they want in there. And he still went with a scan speak with a silk dome. I'm pretty sure it's a silk dome.
There's also more to it, because a lot of speaker designers, when they get into it, they're like, well, we want certain self-damping properties on top of just stiffness to mass ratio. We want certain impedances to be hit, right? We want a certain size voice coil, or we're designing this to fit inside a certain enclosure. Everything needs to fit within a certain size. There are lots of variables that can go into the choice of a driver, not just the material of the dome or the cone itself. So when you factor all of that together, plus price, which is a huge consideration on top of it, just saying we use aluminum, that doesn't mean much, right? It's like, it has to be the combination of all these variables put together as to what is actually the optimal choice, on top of what is the speaker designer used to using, what do they know how to work with. If you have a crossover designer who's working on it as well, Maybe they're just more comfortable, or they just have more knowledge working with a certain impedance a property of a certain given driver, and changing out the material or changing the design will alter that. It's not that it can't be done, but that's what the crossover designer knows how to work with best, which will lower the cost, because then they're not having to do a bunch of extra research and development to develop a new crossover. So there are many variables here at play. That's what we're getting at. But yeah, the ultimate question of, do some materials have properties that others don't? Yes, they do. And if that's the property that you want, if you want the lightest and the highest stiffness to mass ratio, beryllium can give you that better than titanium or aluminum or paper could. That is a factor in there, but the cost is also much higher. So there's that.
There is that. I mean, it's just, I know that objectively some things are better than other things, but when we're talking about a cohesive whole as a speaker, or a car, or a amplifier, or a house, anything, you can't just look and say, I've got the best wiring in my house, that money can buy, therefore I have the best house. It's just not good enough. It's not enough. I have beryllium tweeters, therefore my speaker is better than your speaker. It's not good enough. It will never be good enough because it's more than that. It has to be more. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.